Wisconsin Congressman Paul Ryan is one of the leaders of the Republican war on the poor, but he defends his cruel budget cuts by pointing to his own faith.
A person's faith is central to how they conduct themselves, how they, in public and in private. So to me, using my Catholic faith, we call it the social magisterium, which is how do you apply the doctrine of your teaching into your everyday life as a lay person.
Catholic leaders don't believe Ryan is applying the teachings of his faith. The Ryan budget takes $5.3 trillion from programs for poor Americans and gives $4.3 trillion back to the wealthiest Americans. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops has asked Congress to resist proposed cuts to hunger and nutrition programs. The letter speaks on behalf of all U.S. bishops, but as of last night, Ryan was still dismissing it.
This is just some of the bishops. And look, I welcome this kind of dialogue. I think it's fine. And good people of goodwill can have a disagreement over how to prioritize spending.
In an interview with Catholic Television Network, Ryan said the claims by the bishops were intended to divide Catholics.
I'm reading a headline from Newsmax. It says, Bishops, Representative Ryan's budget plan fails to meet moral criteria. What does that do to the public support of your plan among Catholics?
Well, maybe that's the intention, is to try and erode the public support of our plan among Catholics, or to try and drive a chasm in the Catholic community.
Newsmax is a hard right-wing website. The Catholic bishops don't exactly endorse the Democratic Party platform. But Paul Ryan says both groups are trying to divide a wedge and drive a wedge between Catholics when it comes to the poor. Let's turn to Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC political analyst and Georgetown University professor. Professor, great to have you with us tonight. You know, the Republicans, they loved it when the bishops defended their position on contraception. How can the congressman from Wisconsin with the budget all of a sudden dismiss the bishops this time around?
Well, yeah, Ed, and it's really strange. He says, look, it's not all the bishops. Like, we could take a quarry of them and find out what they really believe. I think it's very arbitrary, and it indicates that they're not serious about, or at least Mr. Ryan is not serious about, engaging his faith in the critical dimensions of social justice. The Catholic bishops agreed with him on some of the abortion stuff and on some of the contraception stuff, disagrees with him about the budget and the distribution of resources to the poor, and Mr. Ryan seems to be cherry-picking. He's willing to accept the bishops' if you will, recommendations vis-a-vis contraception and other cultural issues, but not so much when it comes to social justice for the poorest of the poor.
I want to play a key moment from Ryan's interview with EWTN News. Here it is.
Poverty rates today are so high, yet we've thrown so much money at these programs. Why don't we fix these programs so that they actually work to break the cycle of poverty? And if we keep growing government in debt, we will crowd out the civil society, those charities, those churches, those institutions in our local communities that do the most to actually have a human touch to help people in need. That's what we want to empower.
And furthermore, he's saying that, look, the government will wash its hands of all responsibility, and the programs and policies that made these people poor, or at least perpetuated legacies of inequity along the last 30 and 40 years, can somehow be dismissed. And now, private organizations, charities, and religious institutions have to bear the burden for this. This is why the assault on the SNAP program and on other economic distribution mechanisms by the federal government have been dismissed by Mr. Ryan, and now he wants to put it back on the backs of those who are in the private world, and I think that's really ridiculous and, of course, contrary to the best impulses of his faith and the faith that we obviously share.